All right, stocks a little bit up off the lows here, kind of stalling out from that bid. Joining us, Lucas Tomicki is going to give us some food for thought on the international perspective, founder and managing partner at LRT Capital Management. Lucas, thanks for coming back to the show, of course. Good to have you this morning. As the market gets slammed here, where do we go? Are there other options around the world?
Well, I think we stay short Nvidia and we stay short the AI space, which is something I've been beating the drum about for quite a while.
How short? What do you think? I mean, does this get even nastier from here? We got VIX 50 this morning. I mean, if we don't already own puts, should we be buying them at this point?
Yeah, you probably don't buy them right now today. You probably wait for some kind of reflexive rally because people are still going to be chasing FOMO and looking to buy the dip. But I think the reality is that AI as a whole is in such a huge bubble and it's full of fraud and fakes and false promises. The extent of that is going to be realized over the next 12 to 18 months. And as the market is forward looking, I think it's entirely reasonable to see sales at Nvidia go down 70 or 80%.
For anyone that's looking to trade Nvidia from the bearish perspective or from the downside perspective, we're going to be looking at some of the possible trading levels that can be used to accomplish this type of task. This investor is very bearish on the outlook for the company. He does suggest that there's a possibility that sales could decrease by 70 to 80%, which would be a massive downside surprise if this were to come to fruition. That does not necessarily believe that I'm in line with this view. However, if someone were inclined to trade this stock from that type of perspective, we will be looking at some specific price levels which can be used to execute that type of outlook. Currently, what we can see here is that the stock is bouncing off of near-term lows, which came in at $90.69, so just above the $90 level. Since then, we have seen a bit of a rise here, a bit of a relief rally. So this is the type of environment that this investor is discussing when he's saying that people could start buying at the lows, experiencing FOMO, pushing up share prices a bit here. So if someone were inclined to start to trade the stock from the downside direction, this is the type of environment that he would be considering as a possible entry point for either put options or for short positions in the stock.
Wow. That's kind of been like the ballast, the reliable one. Companies like Apple and Microsoft that still have to deliver product have felt like the frothier ones, but you're saying just go straight for the heart, the jugular of Nvidia.
Well, I think there's layers to this. I think at the first layer, you have Microsoft, Google, Apple that have also benefited from AI hype. But those names have real businesses behind them that are separate from AI. So they're going to be cushioned a little bit from any declines related to AI. On the next layer, you have the suppliers to the AI and the data centers. So you have Nvidia, AMD, and even Intel, frankly, I think is not going to get the benefits of AI that it's been hoping for. So, but that one has its own problems, as you know. But from there, you can also go to equipment makers. So KLLC, Applied Materials, Tokyo Electron, ASML, and software providers, Synapse, Cadence Systems, etc. Those names are going to be hit really hard. And so not only do I believe that their earnings and sales are going to decline, the valuations are extremely stretched.
So for anyone adopting this viewpoint, this downside viewpoint where the bearish outlook prevails, we can start to look at some specific price zones which would be used to identify these types of trading opportunities. Specifically, we're looking at near-term rallies of 106.36. From there, the next resistance zone to the top side would come in just above the $120 level, roughly 120.15. So if we were to see prices move back into this region, we would have some moving average resistance that would also come in line with these areas. To the downside, the current support zone that would be the downside target comes in at 90.69. This would mark the price lows from August 5th, 2024, and this would suggest that there would be a possible downside price movement roughly into this area. In addition to that, we do have a 78.6% Fibonacci retracement zone that comes in just below here at $89.03. So there is some scope here for a retest of this $90 area if we are going to adopt this bearish perspective and look for potential short opportunities or opportunities to establish put options for Nvidia stock.
All right, so some nice picks there that you're sticking with. Let's flip back to the other side real quick, because I think that's where a lot of people are focused, obviously, is dealing with the drop-off. What will be, do we need a catalyst, I guess, rather, Lucas, for there to be further valuation compression in the AI trades? Do we need something, or is the cat basically out of the bag? And can it be like a macro force? Because it seems a lot of this is after employment went soft, and there's concerns about slowdown. I mean, if that does it, then maybe we don't need some like big, unveil of some Nvidia flaw or something, right?
What's happening right now is really having to do with the yen trade, the carry trade in the yen blowing up, and a big shift in expectations about US monetary policy, having to do with a weaker report on employment last year and the ISM, which I also thought was quite weak. Having said that, if you look within the ISM, which came out last week, prices paid for goods were actually still accelerating. Mm-hmm. So what's scary is we potentially have a stagflationary environment where, yes, the Fed cuts a little bit, but there's still pretty strong inflationary pressures in the system. So they may not be able to cut as much as people hope to really save the markets. With respect to AI and NVIDIA, my entire premise here is that the usefulness of large language models and these AI tools which are being touted is very limited. If you listen to the Google conference call from less than 2 weeks ago, they were precisely asked this very question. Tell us exactly what is the use of AI? And they couldn't tell you a single thing that it was actually useful for. Yeah. They said, well, we have a lot of people experimenting with it and playing with it, and trust us, it'll take time. Yeah. And that's fine, but if you're spending $17, $18 billion a quarter in CapEx, that patience of investors to keep funding that without any clear return plans is limited. And so as we go forward, we're going to see, people curtailing their investment plans, in my view. And if you believe right now we have somewhat of an overinvestment in capacity, we're going to have some period of underinvestment in capacity in the future. Sure. And for NVIDIA, that may mean that sales go down 70 or 80%.
Wow.
In order to invalidate this negative viewpoint for the stock, we would really need to see prices break back above this 120.15 level. If this did occur, overall, we would expect the top side pressure to start to prevail and this downside selling momentum to start to abate. Overall, this is really the line in the sand for anyone that is interested in taking the bearish outlook for the stock. And for anybody that expects to see major declines in share price valuation and in its quarterly revenues from sales, if we were to see prices break above this level, this would suggest that we would be in store for another retest of the stock's prior all-time highs. Overall, this would also represent a very attractive selling point for anybody that is interested in starting to sell the stock. This would take a bit more of a rally here. We would need to see some resistance form at the top of this exponential moving average cluster, but if this did occur, this would suggest that the downside is the dominant direction likely to continue. With each of these individual price movements in mind, we can see that there are alternative viewpoints here that can take hold and force NVIDIA prices in both directions. Anybody that is looking to establish positions should be focused on this lower 90 level because this does mark a prior historical low as well as an important Fibonacci zone, which can be found $1 lower. If we did see share prices venture into this area, it would likely be time to start to take profits on Nvidia stock, ticker NVDA. Our high value trading strategies membership is currently available for a limited time for only $9.99 per month. These high conviction investment strategies are characterized by superior risk to reward metrics that target massive market beating returns over time. Join now to outperform the market, lock in this special introductory rate of just $9.99 per month for the entire lifetime of your membership, and start trading stocks with the pros.